6:45. This is Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Lal Malavarachi and read by Lavana Vichitunga. First, we take a look at the headlines. Today marks the 50th anniversary of the Republic Day of Sri Lanka. GCE ordinary level examinations will be held from tomorrow. A large humanitarian grant assistance consignment from India is scheduled to reach Colombo today. Nuraichole coal power plant will resume power generation from today. 80,000 LP gas cylinders will be distributed daily. In news overseas, Anthony Albanese of the Labour Party elected Prime Minister in Australia. And in sports news, Sri Lanka A team is to play 2 50-over games and 2 4-day games against Australia A. Those were the headlines, and now we move on to the details of the local news. Today marks the 50th anniversary of the Republic Day of Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka became a republic on the 22nd of May 1972 with the adaptation of the new constitution. Each year on May 22nd, all ministries, government departments, statutory corporations and other state institutions commemorate Republic Day. The independence the country achieved on the 4th of February 1948 became meaningful through the Republic Constitution in 1972. Dr. Colvin R. De Silva played a prominent role in compilation of this constitution as a Minister of Constitutional Affairs in addition to his plantations portfolio. 2021 GCE ordinary level examination will be held from tomorrow. According to the Department of Examinations, 517,496 candidates are sitting for the GCE ordinary level examinations this time. The examination will be held at 3,844 examination centers from the 23rd of May to the 1st of June. The Commissioner General of Examinations, LMD Dharmasena, says that if there is any problem in the medium and the subjects of the students sitting for the GCE ordinary level examination, they can be corrected later. He also requested the candidates sitting the examinations to notify the department regarding their problems on the numbers 0112 784208 or 0112 784537. He urged the students to arrive at their respective examination centers before 2 hours. He told the SLBC that all officers on duty at the examination centers have been duly appointed. Special arrangements are in place to provide fuel to the examination staff tomorrow. Lakvijaya coal power plant in the Nuraichole will resume power generation from today. The Ministry of Power and Energy has said that power generation was disrupted at the recently commissioned power plant due to some technical issues which occurred during the power generation process. The plant will add 300 megawatts to the national grid from today, the ministry said. This is the news from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. And we continue with more local news. A large humanitarian grant assistance consignment worth more than 2 billion rupees from the people of India is scheduled to reach Colombo today, the High Commissioner of India in Colombo said. High Commissioner Gopal Bagle will hand over the consignment, which consists of 9,000 metric tons of rice, 50,000 metric tons of milk powder, and more than 25 metric tons of drugs and other medical supplies to the government of Sri Lanka. Litro Gas Lanka says that 80,000 gas cylinders will be distributed daily from today. Litro Chairman Vijitha Herath said that 50,000 of these gas cylinders were distributed in Colombo and Gampaha districts as per the directives of the Committee on Public Enterprise. When the management of Litro Gas Lanka was summoned before the COP yesterday, the committee instructed the officials to distribute 60% of its LP gas cylinders to highly populated areas like Colombo and Gampaha districts with limited alternative energy sources. Mr. Herath said that a shipment of 3,900 metric tons of LP gas unloaded on Friday would be sufficient for 6 days. And to conclude the local news, the headlines once again. Today marks the 50th anniversary of the Republic Day of Sri Lanka. GCE ordinary level examination will be held from tomorrow. A large humanitarian grant assistance consignment from India is scheduled to reach Colombo today. Nurachole coal power plant will resume power generation from today. 80,000 LP gas cylinders will be distributed daily. And that was the local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The main news story for this morning, the Sri Lanka police has decided to begin island-wide raids from today in search of people hoarding diesel and petrol for resale. The police spokesperson said such persons will be taken into custody. And that was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
This is Watchlight.
The Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka has announced the electricity demand management schedule from today to the 1st of June to facilitate the GCE ordinary level examinations. Accordingly, the regulator said that there will be no power cuts from today until next Sunday. Also, there will be no power cuts after 6:30 p.m. on these days from today to the 1st of June. However, there will be a power cut of 1 hour and 45 minutes to 2 hours and 15 minutes for all zones during those days from 12 noon to 6:30 p.m. at the time that the examinations are not held except the industrial zones and the Colombo City Limit Commercial Zone. And that came to you in Watchlight. And now we move on to the headlines of the world news. Anthony Albanese of the Labour Party elected Prime Minister in Australia. Zelensky says only diplomacy can end Ukraine war. COVID in North Korea, no response to US vaccination offer. Those are the headlines, and now we move on to the details of the world news. Australia has elected its first Labour government in almost a decade and Anthony Albanese as Prime Minister out in Scott Morrison's coalition. Mr. Albanese told Jubilant supporters that Australians had voted for change. However, it is still unclear whether he can secure a majority. The centre-left leader vowed to bring people together, invest in social services and end climate wars. Mr. Morrison thanked the miracle of Australian people after conceding. The war in Ukraine can only be resolved through diplomacy, President Volodymyr Zelensky has said. Speaking on national TV, he suggested his country could be victorious against Russia on the battlefield. However, he added that the war could only come to a conclusive halt at the negotiation table. Meanwhile, heavy fighting is taking place in and around Donetsk, as well as where the Russian forces step up efforts to seize the whole of the Luhansk region. President Joe Biden says North Korea has not responded to a U.S. offer of COVID vaccines as the country battles its first acknowledged outbreak. Nearly 2.5 million people have been sickened by fever in North Korea, and it is under a nationwide lockdown, according to country state media. It is thought to be particularly vulnerable because it has little testing or vaccine supply. And to conclude the world news, the headlines once again. Anthony Albanese of the Labour Party elected Prime Minister in Australia. Zelensky says only diplomacy can end Ukraine war. COVID in North Korea, no response to US vaccination offer. That was the world news, and now we move on to development news. The Japanese government will give essential medicines to Sri Lanka through UNICEF to meet the urgent needs and of the most vulnerable population with shortages due to the economic crisis. Japanese embassy's charge d'affaires to Sri Lanka, Katsuki Kotaro, said the contribution of $1.5 million will enable UNICEF to procure medicines for over 1.2 million people, among them 53,000 pregnant mothers and nearly 122,000 children in immediate need. The medicines will be distributed to the health facilities across Sri Lanka in coordination with the Ministry of Health. And that came to you in the segment of Development News.
Sports News is brought to you by
Sampath Bank, we present your future.
Moving on to sports news, Sri Lanka A team is expected to play 2 50-over games and 2 4-day games during their cricket series against Australia A, which will commence on the 8th of June. The first 50-over game will be played on the 8th of June at the SSC, followed by the second 50-over game on June 10th at the same venue. Meanwhile, both 4-day matches will be played at the Mahinda Rajapaksa International Cricket Stadium in Hambantota. The first 4-day game will be from June 14th to the 17th, while the second 4-day game will be played from June 21st to the 24th. The selectors have already picked a 24-member Sri Lankan A-team squad, which will be pruned down to 18 players. That was the sports news. Business news coming up.
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
In business news, Seat Kalani Holdings has begun the rollout of 2 new retail concepts in Sri Lanka for Seat brand, already the strongest and most valuable tyre brand in the country, according to Brand Finance. Part of a 3-year distribution channel expansion strategy designed to drive brand exclusivity and enhance the customer experience at partner outlets in tandem with product improvement, these new retail concepts are branded as Shop in Shop, SIS, and Company Investors Dealer-Operated CIDO business models. That was the business news. Economic news follows.
Business News, sponsored by
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Economic news, courtesy of...
I bought my daughter a laptop for her work by managing my finances. Whatever the expenses may be, I can't afford to miss out on life's special moments like her birthday or our anniversary. So you need to invest to make your family's future flourish.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibilities. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act No. 42 of 2011.
And in economic news, Sri Lanka Deputy High Commissioner for India, Dr. D. Venkateshwaran, says several Indian investors based in Tamil Nadu are keen to invest in Sri Lanka as they see the current economic crisis as an opportunity. The Deputy High Commissioner said that he will also talk to major companies including farmers, motor, car component manufacturers, trade chambers, and have their future expansions, fresh investments or value-added investments in Sri Lanka. They could start manufacturing in Sri Lanka and use the FTA and re-export to the region including Pakistan, and he got a positive feedback from them. That was the economic news and the weather report to conclude.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act No. 42 of 2011.
The weather report.
And finally, the weather report. The Met Department says showers will occur at times in the Sabaragamuwa and central provinces. Meanwhile, several spells of showers are expected in the western and northwestern provinces and the Galle and Madara districts. Strong winds of about 50 km per hour can be expected at some places over the western slopes of the Central Hills, the northern, north central and northwestern provinces and the Hambantota and Trincomalee districts. And before we conclude this bulletin of news, let's get back to the headlines once again. Today marks the 50th anniversary of the Republic Day of Sri Lanka. GCE ordinary level examinations will be held from tomorrow. A large humanitarian grant assistance consignment from India is scheduled to reach Colombo today. Nurichole coal power plant will resume power generation from today. 80,000 LP gas cylinders will be distributed daily. In news overseas, Anthony Albanese of the Labour Party elected Prime Minister in Australia. And in sports news, Sri Lanka A team is to play 2 50-over games and 2 4-day games against Australia A. And with that, we conclude this bulletin of news.